Alright, we're still at Anclote Park at the mouth of the river. Got a new fresh battery, so we're here in front of a buttonwood tree. Florida is a subtropical habitat, so we get a mix of tropical species and more non-tropical species. And the mangroves are tropical habitat. So as far north as we are of the equator, there's 3 types of mangroves that are hardy enough to live in our habitat. The white mangrove, black mangrove, and the red mangrove. This buttonwood is an associate of mangroves. It grows in the mangrove habitat as well. It's very salt resistant. You can see here we have our salt water and brackish water, but it's fairly salty and it's surviving. I know it's a buttonwood because of when it goes to flower, it makes these which turn brown and they look like buttons. So the buttonwood, many naturalists call the buttonwood a mangrove. Up behind you, we got a really fun bird there. If my lovely photographer and daughter, Lily, could zoom in, we have a little blue heron and a snowy egret. So she could pan to both the little blue heron and the snowy egret. You can see the snowy egret, if she pans to it, has yellow feet and a black beak. So there's different types of egrets. It's hopping around with its yellow feet and black beak. Those guys, the snowy egrets, used to be used in the plumes of hats. Their numbers were depleted for a while. Here, to prevent erosion, you have riprap, which are rock, cement blocks put there by people. They provide habitat. If my photographer can zoom to the riprap under the water, you can see they're coated with oysters. Oysters cement themselves to hard surface, and then they broadcast spawn. Their sperm and eggs miss in the water column, and then the larvae settle on hard surfaces and grow into adults. So they're broadcast spawners, and they grow on hard surfaces. Also, if my photographer could pan out to the flotsam out there, because we are in an seagrass area, the dark areas are seagrass, the light areas are sand, we get a lot of seagrass flotsam here. And that's habitat for crabs and a lot of other things. We also have an abundant amount, one just flew by, but out by that barge, that little barge, you see some pelicans. Those are juveniles because they got the brown heads. The white heads would be adults, but they are the brown pelicans swimming around. And on that little barge is a great egret, bigger than that snowy. We also have a derelict sailboat out there. A lot of times when sailboats sink, people abandon them. They're habitat for fish and other things that grow on them, but eventually they run into trouble, especially when we have storms, so eventually they're removed. You can also see that there's islands here, and these islands are protected for wildlife habitat, and they're only accessible by boats. They're called the Anclote River Island habitats. So this is just the lay of the land of our Anclote estuary. We're going to move on in a few minutes and take a look at the power plant.